Welcome to the Jill on Money Show. It's Thursday, August 22nd, and we are here trying to help you make better or maybe less bad financial decisions or life decisions that impact your money. If something is going on, just go to our website, jillonmoney.com, click the Contact Us button. Let us know if you would be willing to come on the air by checking the box, and Mark will do everything else. Don't forget to check out all of the content that lives on that website because it is updated frequently. There are other shows. We've got a radio show. We've got another podcast. We've got resources. We've got a blog. And you can always sign up for the free weekly newsletter. It comes out every Friday. Mark does a great job with that. All right, today, let's talk to David, who is on the line from Kansas. Hello, David. How are you?
I'm doing well. I'm glad to be here.
I'm so happy to have you. So tell us what is going on for you and how can we help you out?
Well, I am looking at changing jobs in a few years. I've had a pretty steady path for my investments, but I'm curious to see what tweaks I should make going forward.
All right. Well, maybe no tweaks. Maybe you don't need any tweaks at all. I like a little second set of eyes and ears on the situation. So, David, how old are you?
I am 39.
And what's the career change? Tell us a little bit about that. What are you anticipating?
It will be retiring from the Army at 20 years. And then what I'll do next, I haven't quite figured out yet.
Okay. So once you have 20 years in, which is in how long? You said a few years? You got 3 years?
A little over 3 years.
Okay. At that point, what do you receive from a pension at 20 years in?
50% of my base pay is what I'll get, plus whatever disability rating, which I have no idea what that will be. Then that's taxable.
Okay. And will you also have health benefits for life?
Yes, the VA health benefits I will continue to have at an increased, more traditional health insurance style than what I have in the Army.
But it would give you at least a base coverage in case you wanted to go do something else where you don't have to worry about that, basically. And
oh,
you know
absolutely.
What I mean? Right.
Yeah.
Okay, great. So what is the amount, the dollar amount that you expect it to receive as that base pay, 50% of your base pay in 3 years? What's that dollar amount right now?
By that time, I expect it to be between $50,000 and $55,000.
Have you saved through the thrift savings plan, or tell us a little bit about what you have put away on your salary so far?
In retirement accounts, I have about $60,000 in a Roth and about $135,000 in the TSP. I maxed the Roth out, and I'm just shy of maxing the TSP out.
Are you single or married, or?
I'm single.
Okay. Beyond the Roth and the thrift savings plan, which, I mean, it's pretty amazing. You're not making a ton of money. You're putting a lot of money away. Do you have savings or a brokerage account?
I have about $70,000 in a taxable brokerage account. And then I'm currently rebuilding my savings because I went a little crazy in December.
What happened? Tell us what happened in December. I want to hear about your crazy December. Did you go to Taylor Swift somewhere? Is that what you did?
I did not. I went to Vegas for a couple of nights and ate at all the nice restaurants. And then my parents' 50th was down in Jacksonville, so I spent some time at Bernardino Beach and up on Jekyll Island.
You know what?
And beach hotels aren't cheap.
Yeah, they're expensive. It's expensive to travel. Here's that breaking news, right? So right now, How much do you have in your emergency reserve?
$8,000. That will be $15,000 within 3 months.
Okay. Do you own a home or do you rent right now?
I just bought, and this is where the dumbest thing I've done financially in several years. I bought it on VA, zero down, and rolled the closing costs into the loan. So I'm right now working on reducing that with some speed.
Oh boy. Okay. So how much did you buy the house for?
$230,000.
Okay. And is this a house you want to keep for a while? This is like, I know, forgetting about the way you financed it, but is this a place you want to keep, or did you buy this to sort of say, I can flip this anytime?
I'm undecided. As long as the Army keeps me where I'm at, then it's a great house for me. When I get out of the Army, it'll depend on whether I'm going to stay in the area or not.
Okay, fair enough. So explain how the VA loan works. So what is the outstanding amount of that mortgage? Is it $235,000 because you put zero down and rolled costs in, or what?
It started at $234.95. I've been paying a little bit extra every month. It's down to like 232.5 right now.
Okay. So what happens to this? What is the interest rate associated with this?
6.25, which is another reason that I'm interested in paying it down quickly.
Wait a minute. What 0.25? I missed the first number.
6.25.
6.25. Okay.
Hey, we're partners. I have 6.25 too.
I know, but you don't have zero down. But here's my question about this. I think there are very specific rules about VA loans, so I want to make sure that I understand this. If for some reason, like let's pretend that all of a sudden your area got hot and you said, the area's hot and my house increased in value and interest rates are down. What are can you refinance any VA loan no problem, or are there specific rules around that?
I can refinance and stay in the VA loan once with minimal costs.
Right.
I get one that I forget the specifics, but there's a cap cost on it as opposed to other refinances. But I can also refinance out of it at any time if the rates become more appealing.
Okay. But you're putting the money down on this because you're worried that you don't have a buffer, right?
Yes, that, and I'm constantly tweaking and tooling my finances and looking at things. And so I want to build some equity in the house faster and also just generally reduce the amount of interest I'm going to pay on this over the life of the loan.
I got you. Let's talk about the brokerage account for a second. You've got a taxable brokerage account. You said there's 70 grand in there. You're managing your own investments, right?
I am.
Okay. What's in this account? Do you have any winners or losers? Like, you're like, oh, I'm kicking butt because I picked NVIDIA 2 years ago. Like, what's in this account?
Well, it used to have AMD. I trimmed that one off last fall, which catching the falling knife is terrible. I limit my individual stocks. Most of it is in Schwab's Total Market Fund.
Okay. Are the individual stocks, are they showing losses?
Some are, some aren't. ALB is up from when I bought it, Albemarle, and then I've got some. Rivian is down, but I don't have a big position in that. And so it's hit or miss.
I mean, but that's like your fun.
I understand the gambling.
Okay.
Yeah.
Since you just went to Vegas, you got a good taste of real gambling, which is a lot more fun because the drinks are better. So here's what I'm asking. Maybe, and this is a provocative question to ask you. I know you have this taxable brokerage account and you like it. If you sold out half of this account right now, okay, and you make what, about 100, 110, 20-ish? Is that what you're making right now?
Yeah, taxable, not including the housing allowance. It's about 110.
And does the housing allowance pop you up even more? In other words, you account for that or not? I don't remember how that works, the housing allowance.
That's not taxable,
okay,
so it doesn't impact it.
Here's what I'm thinking.
It goes away at retirement, though.
Okay, yeah, I got you. So here's what I'm sort of thinking. All right, you're a single guy, you're having fun, you're living large, you're saving good money, you're putting money in the thrift savings plan and the Roth, and there's this brokerage account. But what would be the worst thing what if you took, I don't know, you took the brokerage account and you took it down. You got rid of the individual stocks. You pulled some of the money out of the index fund. You just paid down a chunk of this mortgage so that you feel a little bit more like you have that comfortable amount. Like, I don't know what it's going to be, but let's say it's 35 grand that you pop down there. And now you got a $200,000 mortgage on a $230,000 house. What's the downside of that in your mind?
So one of the things that I really don't do right now is pull money out of my invested accounts. Mm-hmm. Those are for longer term. Specifically, that taxable account is bridge money when I leave the Army while I'm figuring out what I want to do.
Yeah. Okay. I get it. I get it. I'm trying to see if we can clean this up a little bit more quickly. That's what I'm trying to do. Mark, would you feel more comfortable if David had a little bit of a buffer on that house? Like, here's the downside of not doing anything. I'll give you the up and the down in my mind. I know that we all do this. We're human beings. We play it's like magical thinking around our balance sheet. Like, I have a liability called a mortgage, and it's a 6.25% mortgage, and I'm mortgaged up to the hilt and then some. Like if in 3 years you are done with your service and we thank you and we throw a party for you and it's great, but you don't want to stay where you are, but the housing market sucks for some reason. Things have turned, it's been bad, blah, blah, blah. And you're stuck in this place because you don't have enough equity to really do anything with it. And yet you have this taxable brokerage account that's available that you could do something. I feel like I want you to have a taxable brokerage account, and yet I'm worried about there being no wiggle room on this mortgage. So Mark, how would you address the fact that he's upside down on the mortgage already? And by the way, the VA has got to stop doing these loans because they're silly. That's an editorial on my part. Would you sell part of the brokerage account to put some of the money down on the house, Mark?
I would not, just because there's a lot of uncertainty as to what the next chapter is going to be. That kind of gives me a little peace of mind.
So you think that having the brokerage account is a better peace of mind than having the mortgage the right side up?
At least for a few more years until he figures out the next chapter. I personally want to keep the brokerage.
All right, then you can do that. I'm gonna say the other. I think we should clean up some of the brokerage account, at least sell the losers to the extent that you have them against the winners, free up the cash, and at the very least that should be put down on the mortgage. That's my 2 cents. If you guys don't want to do that, I get where you're going. I think it's a close call, but I think that if you want a little bit of, I get the flexibility point, but I'm not comfortable with you being upside down right now. I would be comfortable with you being upside down if you said I'm staying in the military for life. Then I think you're fine. But it is concerning to me where you are. And, then you're locked into this house. But you know the risk, okay? So you're going to choose whichever way you want to go. Now, that means that out of your cash flow right now, out of this 110 or 120,000, how much are you putting down towards the mortgage right now?
I am throwing an extra $161.01 at it because that brings it to an even number of $19.50 a month for my payment.
Okay.
As I rebuild my savings, I will reduce what's going into savings and increase what I'm throwing extra to principal each month.
Okay. That seems reasonable. Look, if you're trying to prepare for a next career and you're going to have 50 or 55 grand that's coming in, that is great from the pension, I would just be cognizant of the fact that this, the house itself, I would be looking to either refinance it, sell it, figure out like next steps, but like we can't be married to this house. And I guess that in some respects, the risk. I've alerted you to the risk. And I think that what I would also be maybe thinking about, because you've done a good job of saving, to some extent, I might even pull back a little bit on my thrift savings plan. If you really want to bulk up on your brokerage account and emergency reserve, you don't need to put so much money in the thrift savings plan. You might want, it's maybe a higher value item would be to build up your taxable brokerage and your emergency reserves right now in the next few years, then building your thrift savings plan, because you're going to have another career. You're going to keep working for a bunch of years and you're young. So I might pull back on that a little bit just to help that your cash flow do the things you want to do. I think the priority is indeed the emergency reserve and getting some equity into that home. And from there, the brokerage and retirement are both important, but as long as you're maxing out your Roth, you're putting some money in. How much are you putting into the thrift savings right now?
I do 19%, which comes to about $1,900 a month.
What's the priority for you, David?
My goal coming out of when I retire is to have the freedom to choose. And if I want to go do something that's not 5 days a week, 9 to 5, I want the freedom to do that. And that's where I see the taxable account coming in handy.
Okay. Well,
I have been considering reducing the TSP.
Yeah.
As I sit here thinking about it, I really like your suggestion about the taxable brokerage account, at least the individual stocks to the house to flip the mortgage to the right side.
Yeah, I think that it's okay. I would be fine pulling back on the TSP a little bit. cleaning up anything. Again, the individual stocks, look at what your tax position is, especially if you can sort of get into like a zero tax liability standpoint, that some winners, some losers, but no tax due. That's great. And pull back on the thrift savings plan, put it into the brokerage account, and, go from there. But I think that if you want flexibility, having obviously the cash on hand, I could be convinced that it's important for you to have cash on hand. But as long as you are aware of the looming liability of the home mortgage, and I think you are, but I think to manage all of this, it is important for you to also understand that if you need to tap that brokerage account in 3 years from now, and you're all in super duper aggressive stocks, then you should be careful. That is an important piece of this as well, which is if your asset allocation is like you're investing like a 39-year-old guy who doesn't need the money for 25 years, you are going to need the money potentially, and you've got to pull back some of the risk in the portfolio overall.
No, that makes a lot of sense. Would you do that through bonds or just shifting more into index funds?
I would probably go. Do you have any bond position, or is the brokerage 100% in stocks right now?
I'm all gas, no brakes across the board, all stocks.
Okay. Okay to be all stocks in your Roth and your thrift savings plan. In the brokerage account, I would add a bond position for sure. For sure. And by the way, bond prices are down. So if you buy yourself like a nice bond index fund, you should be fine. It'll bounce around a little bit, but it will create some income stream for you. And that is good. And you may need to tap that income stream. Who knows? So Mark, what percentage in bonds in the brokerage account? 20% at least?
I would say no more than that.
I would say 20. You can see who's more aligned with you, David. You see the wimpy Aunt Jill, but it's like Mark's your brother being like, yeah, come on. Keep doing it. No, I just think if you're going to, again, gang, the reason why I'm saying this with David is that if you're going to be in transition, you have to be able to identify the risks that lie in front of you, right? And if one of the risks is, hey, I might want to have 3 months, in 3.5 years, I might need 3 months where I have no income except 50 or 55 grand. You may want stability of a portfolio as a more important issue than growth of that portfolio. So I'm not saying that bonds are without risk. I'm just going to say they act differently. So I would look at it a 20%. So if you're going to do anything with the brokerage account, what I do think is that you can start reallocating, harvesting some losses, and make some decisions about how much of that you're willing to part with in order to get a little bit more security in the mortgage liability that's outstanding.
No, I think that makes sense.
And, everything could be, you may look back on this and say, that chick was nuts, because 3.5 years from now, you might be like, I'm making 150 grand a year and I could have been investing 100% in stocks and she cost me money. But we're giving you an opportunity to see if there's something else that you can do where you might need to access this money. That's the only thing that I'm considering. So if things work out better than expected, great. Then it's just better and you missed some upside opportunity. But if it's worse than expected, then you'll be happy you have a bit more stability overall on your balance sheet, okay?
Absolutely. Thank you.
If you would like to join us to discuss something going on in your life, a big decision that maybe is about your job, maybe it's about retirement, maybe it's about buying or selling a home, give us a holler. Go to JillOnMoney.com, click the Contact Us button, and of course, check the box to let us know if you are willing to come on the air live. We love when you do that, because then we can ask you a lot of nosy follow-up questions. You can subscribe to us on the Odyssey app or wherever you find your favorite podcasts, and we would love it if you could please leave us a rating and review wherever you listen. Lift someone up, change your work, change your wealth, change your life. Thank you for listening. We'll talk to you tomorrow.